My name is Jerry Sisson. I lived in this community 28 years. My family settled here in 1850. They bought Mount Shasta from the Russians who were there at the time in 1850, and you can find this all out on the internet. It's interesting history. Even if you take my name out of it, it's interesting history because it's the logo. But anyway, the Northwest is my home. My roots are here. My birthday. I used to come to these meetings a lot, and look in and listen. Then I'd go home and talk, and I'm the same. Boy, they seem to be wrestling with the same problem year after year, trying to come up with the same solutions that don't work year after year. So I got on the internet, and I started looking at other communities and talking to them, calling them. And I was saying, you know, what are you doing there? Well, we're having the same economic problems and the same things you are. And it turns out this is going on all over the country. It isn't unique to Josephine County. It's happening everywhere. And I'm saying, well, what are you doing about this? And what are you doing about that? I'm finding working models around the country that actually answer our problems. And it's not in an adversarial government way. It's doing it. They're doing it in a friendly, work with the citizens type of thing. A government-friendly or people-friendly government, put it that way, where it's a win-win. You don't feel, if you're a citizen, that you've been strong-armed by your government. You feel like the government is helping you. They've come along to actually work with you on a problem. I'd love to talk more about this. Of course, I'm running out of time, but maybe I'll get a chance. So thanks for listening. I appreciate that.
What do you think is the appropriate role for county government in economic development?
I have to agree with all of these fine people over here with the complaint that the county stands in the way. What the county, all they need to do is get out of our way, basically.
Right.
Just move out of the way and quit trying to make capital on us citizens who are trying to do something in our community. They want to get their finger in every pie because they do perceive anyway that they're suffering financially. But I don't think it's all that bad financially up here. What we need is some creative thinking. We need some people who know how to be inventive and, like I said, to use other models. If my lawn is dying and my neighbor's lawn looks great, I don't feel bad about asking what he's doing to his lawn to make it look great, because when I learn, soon my lawn's going to look great, because I'm going to do the same thing. And that's what I'm doing around the country. I'm calling people and I'm saying, what are you doing for these problems? And they're telling me, and they're workable and they're satisfied. But I can see we're not. So thank you.
The problem we're having with the ringing microphones will largely be solved if everybody just stays seated while they're giving their answers rather than standing up, okay? Okay.
And I'm going to take this in a little different direction now. Should Josephine County ban medical marijuana dispensaries?
Yeah, I believe that, I don't want to be bashing the commissioners, but I do believe that Simon is prudently kicking the can down the road during this election period because it is such a controversial subject. Now, we have 22 states across the country who already have medical marijuana. We have 19 other states that have either legislation pending or they have referendums to be voted on this year. The people that have medical marijuana in their states have had it for 15 to 20 years are not winding it back. They like what they've got. They could change it if they didn't. And what I like to say is you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can either go with it or you can get mad because it's going to pass you. And it will. Because this is a good, viable medicine. I'm a naturopathic practitioner. I studied under John Hech in Salt Lake City. Herbs, treating with herbs and herbal medicines, that's my thing. Medical marijuana has more applications than any other plant on earth.
Thanks.
We're going to talk about something just a little more softer. So, do you support the proposed property tax increase to support the county animal shelter?
There was an incident just a little while back that created a big stir and filled this room with people almost if not as full as it is today. What started the whole thing was that Diane Hoover, who handles I think it's the safety fund. Anyway, I know she handles the money that's earmarked for the animal shelter. She diverted $100,000 that was earmarked for that purpose into one of her desired programs. I don't know what it was, but the money that was supposed to go there didn't go there. These kinds of things happen in this government so much. That's why there's 9 people up here wanting to find fixes for these problems. Now, my wife and I, my dear wife over there, we've been involved in animal rescue for years around here, and she was involved in developing the animal shelter, which is an auxiliary trying to pick up the extra problems that the animal shelter wasn't handling. I don't think we have to, if we tax you at all, I think it should be a voluntary tax. I think 50% of the people in this county would volunteer money to help support this thing without putting the screws to anybody. So, I'm for the animals. I love animals very much.
I'm going to take one of the questions from the audience. I'm going to read it verbatim. How does your work experience make you qualified to manage Josephine County's multi-million-dollar budget?
In 1973, I joined a company. They were called Coit, Drapery and Carpet Cleaners. They were struggling pretty much out of Burlingame at the time, and I started out as one of their home estimators. I was put on a task force to go all around the country and take small mom and pop businesses and turn them into a Coit franchise, which meant making lots of money. And that was my job, and I did that for several years. I troubleshot it, and got the job done. And then I ended up, the job rewarded me with 2 franchises of my own, which I selected because I was there, working with them, and these are little money makers I'd like to own, which I did. But you talk about troubleshooting, that was my job for many years, trying to find out how we're misspending money, where we should spend money that would better benefit the business, and so on. That's just part of what I would like to say about my qualifications, but I'm out of time.
Okay, we'll now give each candidate 2 minutes, since this is the most important issue in the county on this ballot, to present their own ideas for public safety.
There are people present in our county who could pay extra money and who wouldn't notice it at all. It would just be some of their extra money, okay? But the greatest number of population in the county aren't in that position. And I happen to know that many of them are struggling to make their insurance payments on their property. Some of them are paying their property mortgage payments. They just can't afford it. They just can't. But here's the reality. The county is losing money. People are struggling to get by. There's no reason why the people up here who work for us shouldn't be in the same boat. We shouldn't have to take what little we have and divide it even smaller to fund a larger government or to continue with a government that we can't afford, and most of it could be trimmed back anyway. There's much of this stuff that could be trimmed. Also, public, does that mean I have more time? Public nuisance ordinances. The county attorney over there, Steve Rich, a few years ago, or when was it, we remember it, the one that was turned down 4-1. Basically, all that was a rewrite of asset forfeiture laws. Because the way he wrote it, he could take people and put them in jail. He could take away your property simply because he didn't like the way it looked. He thought it was too messy, or they had something he determined might be a dangerous structure or whatever. This is asset forfeiture rewritten all over again. And I'm glad I got counted down, but with the law that they have in place right now, they're still going out and charging $7,000, $10,000 fees or penalties for people who can't afford to bring their property to code in the first place. It's counterproductive.
All right. Most of the candidates tonight have voiced not only opposition to the jail levy, they voiced strong opposition to the levy. My question to you and the rest of the candidates tonight is, if the levy passes and yet you're elected, what are you going to do about it?
Just so that we're clear that I am against no new taxes, which would include a levy, doesn't mean I'm against public safety. I'm just saying that there are other ways to achieve this without passing new taxes. That's all I'm saying. And how would I do it? I was asked this question. I'm not a law enforcement professional, not in any way, shape, or form. I know Gil. I've not personally, but I've spoken with him, and I've gained a lot of confidence in him. I think that if I were to receive this budget, I would take and sit down with Gil, and we would have to hammer out the best way to put the patrols on the street, and the best way, of course, to provide for public safety within our budget. I couldn't do it without him. He's the professional. He's the guy that knows where to spend the money, how. And then, of course, we bring the other two, or it would take place with the other two commissioners. Between the four of us, at least, we would have to, come up with a program that works. And when it comes to working programs, I'm not so egotistical that I can't learn from my neighbors, even if it's the next county or down in California someplace. If they've got something that works, my goodness, let's try it. What we're doing isn't working, so let's take something that works and give that a shot. Okay, that's what I would do. I would work with the sheriff. I couldn't do without him, in fact.
We're going to go ahead and have the closing summations now. We'll do 1 minute on them.
Well, I get a spending budget from my wife, depending on our cash flow, and I go down the list of priorities of things that I want to spend my money on, with my wife's approval. But what I have to do is I have to take this list and prioritize it according to how much money I have to spend. I can't spend more money than my wife gives me. I'm sorry, that's all I get. So as a government, we have to do the same thing. We're not getting more money. So we have to set up a priority of necessary services and stick with them. And as we go down the list, we're going to be able to start eliminating some things that we're going to think, well, I think we can do without this, and we can save some money doing that. And as we go down the list, we're going to find that we're saving a lot of money. And the point is, we have to stay within our budget. Because we can't just go out there and beat people over the head with legislation and say, give me more money. I don't have enough. You can't do that. It isn't real. It isn't real life.